Hello, my name is Alex Josh, and I'm an architect in the Microsoft Private Cloud group at NetApp. Today we're going to be talking about thin-fixed VHDs and how they can enhance your provisioning process. Just a little word about what they are and how they work. So thin-fixed VHDs are VHDs that have their zeros unmapped. So when you create a fixed VHD by default, Windows writes zeros to every block in the VHD. Which is a good idea because it ensures that you don't read other people's data, but it also takes a long time. This works because when you read a unmapped block, you get 0 back, which is exactly what Hyper-V expects. It also eliminates all the captured white space that's normally created with a fixed VHD. So let's take a look at what actually happens under the covers. So normally what happens when you create a VHD file is that the SAN creates mappings between the Windows blocks and the underlying SAN waffle blocks. So what we do is we simply run an unmap command for every one of those connections. And so in effect what's happening is that you don't use any space on the back-end SAN. So you can see that this is extremely space efficient. The other interesting side effect is that the write zero operation that Windows normally uses is very expensive. And in fact it's 100 times more expensive than a zero unmap command. So this means that not only is less space required on the SAN, but there's also less write load on the SAN when you do it through this method. So let's take an example of how much faster it really is. So what you see here is you have two PowerShell commandlet windows. On the left there we have the new NA virtual disk commandlet, and on the right you have the traditional Windows version, which is called new VHD. So you can see that the new NA virtual disk command runs much faster than the new VHD command. However, one thing you should notice here is that in the new NA virtual disk commandlet, we're actually creating a 100 gig disk, and in the traditional method, we're creating just a 10 gig disk. So not only is it faster, but it's faster to create a file that's 10x the size. As I said before, the difference in performance is actually more like 100x. So even though the file is 10x larger, it still takes a tenth the time to create. And in fact, what you're going to see here is it's 9 seconds to create a 100 gig disk, and when we complete the traditional method, you'll see that it's around 60 to 70 seconds. So we're not quite at 100x here, but the reason is because we're running both these commands in the same window and they're fighting for the same resources. But there's still a very significant difference, even though the two commandlets are running at the same time. And not only that, but the two commandlets are operating on vastly different sizes. So just a quick example of the efficiency of the new NA virtual disk commandlet, which is part of the PowerShell toolkit. So thank you very much for your attention. Please keep up to date by reading blogs.netapp.com/nmsenviro, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.